Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Macro Lounge podcast. I am, of course, your co-host Chris Bolt, joined by my partner in posing chaos and all things sparkles, Rachel Mead. If you're new here, this is where we talk about bodybuilding, mindset, psychology, posing, all that sort of stuff, and a lot of sparkles. If you're listening on Spotify, hit follow so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so that you know when new ones drop. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram at macro_lounge podcast for highlights, clips, and occasional caffeine-fueled rants. We'd like to say pre-workout, but it's a rest day, so I'm not worried about that. All right. So today's guest, Rachel, is...
We have the one, the only Becc Gwilliam, who is the mastermind behind the Australian Posing School. She is a PNBA World Champion. She's an IFBB Pro judge. Lots and lots of background there, which is so cool to be able to have her on and be able to pick her brains and get some extra knowledge. So welcome, Becc.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We met Becc for the first time in person, really, only a couple of weeks ago down at the IC in Oceania. She popped down here, and I'd like to say she's probably as big a stage mom as I am. I'm not sure who was jumping around being more excited, her or myself. There were a lot of people going, what the hell is up with those two? But, that's a them thing, not us. So we got on very well there. So, Becc, what made you fall in love with posing in the first place?
Wow. Well, firstly, I never thought that I would ever be in this industry or even know what posing was back when I first started. And it wasn't until probably 4 years into my competing journey that I realized how important posing was. And I did my first ever pro show, and it wasn't until they had a live commentator. So they did a live stream of it, and they had this commentator, and it was almost this particular sentence that the commentator said, and in a very thick American accent, he said that I didn't have a top winning physique, but it was my posing is what made me win. And it was funny because I remember listening to that, and I was like, am I actually good at this posing thing? Okay. And then it was almost like, okay, cool, posing. Okay, it's good. It's important. I loved posing. I loved being on stage. I loved the performing aspect of it. And then naturally from there, I was asked by a few girls if they could teach me my ways. And then it almost exploded from there. And I definitely would say that when I first started teaching posing, I wasn't obsessed. You're just kind of, when you're starting out, you're realizing what worked for you might not work for another athlete. You've got to realize that every single person has a completely different physique, good strengths, good weaknesses. And so it wasn't until genuinely a couple of years of actually teaching that I became utterly obsessed with posing and made it my craft, and then turned it into a full-time job plus more. It's actually probably my life now rather than a job. That's how I got into it, and that's how the passion started.
What was your job before?
So I am actually an investigative journalist. So I was a television producer for many, many, many years. I worked my way up through the ranks here in Australia, and I got right up to the top dog, which I worked for a program called Sunday Night, which was by Channel 7. I know they have affiliates in New Zealand because my grandma, my nana, could see my stories in New Zealand.
That's cool.
Actually. And I loved what I did. I used to do, true crime, and I loved being able to have the opportunity to tell people's stories, and took my job very seriously. I was very fortunate enough to be offered a job for a television show on Netflix, the first Australian Netflix documentary. And it was through that towards filming it, we then went a little bit part-time. And so then girls started asking me for posing at round about the same time. So I was almost competing, in my pro stages. Then I was kind of going down to part-time journalistic work, and then my posing was ramping up. So it kind of naturally got to a stage where I couldn't give my all to being a TV producer, and I couldn't give my all to posing. And I was at this really weird crossroads. So I ended up making the jump to posing. So that's what I used to do. And I think that is definitely why I'm very good at being able to communicate and understand a lot of different personalities, because from a very young age, I was knocking on people's doors at 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to convince them to do a story on national television and trying to tell them to only do that story with me. And so why should they trust me? So it was almost like it was really good because I was put into some very crazy situations with some very interesting people. Now, when I meet someone, I'm like, give me anyone. I kind of will know roughly how to speak to them and be on their level as well and relate to them.
I have noticed that. I have noticed that. So, did you ever imagine that APS would grow into what is a team of 12 now? You've got your own studio in Sydney, and you've got athletes all over the world. I've seen you pop up in shows in the States. I've seen you pop up, and when you popped up in New Zealand, I was like, hang on. Actually, to be fair, I knew you were coming because Fiona told me. But we kept it secret because I know it was on the down low, so we didn't want to. But did you ever imagine that it would go to where it is even now?
No, not at all. It's almost like I never really, thought about the future when I jumped into posing. I just was so immersed in the present and just trying to be a really good coach that I just truly was like, okay, well, I'll call it Australian Posing School because at the time everyone was calling it their name. And so I thought, I'm going to do something different. I don't want it to be the Becc show. I would like to be able to, potentially have other coaches or, maybe one day be able to sell it. And this was little me back then having those big dreams. And then now it's crazy. Yesterday it was such a weird day. I had a client in India, a client in Israel, so Tel Aviv in Israel. I then had Fiona, who is in Milan. I then had two clients here and then another client in Costa Rica. So it was quite funny because yesterday I was like, wow, I went all across the world. I never thought that I would be able to reach, I think, that many people. And I'm just so grateful that so many women, especially for myself, because I personally only teach women. I'm very grateful that I'm able to connect with so many other clients because for me, I don't like teaching the same federation in the same division. I would do this against a wall. So I love being able to have different personalities, different nationalities, different federations, different physiques from bikini to figure. So I love that. And it also forces me to learn and to grow. But no, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would have a studio and a team and a big school. And yeah, it's crazy.
That's actually really cool that it's not your name as well, because it also kind of hits home for you're not posing people to pose just like you. It's not your posing, it's for the clients.
Yeah, and we're so much more than I think just private lessons as well. We've really turned it into quite a small little empire. From I teach posing coaches how to be posing coaches. There are so many things that are here at the school. We do specific workshops. We do posing mobility. We have apparel. We are the exclusive stockist for the shoe fairy in the Southern Hemisphere. There is bikinis, there are shoes, there are courses. There's just so many other things that we are able to do within the school. And I think if it was called like Becc Cox Coaching, why would you buy shoes? By the way, Cox is my maiden name and Gwilliam is my married name. So Gwilliam's very hard to say. So sometimes you'll hear me say Cox because it's just easier. But I think if I definitely called it something different, like, why would you buy shoes from me? So I definitely am just, I love that I'm able to create something for a competitor because when I first started, I had to buy my shoes from a sex shop and my mum waited in the car outside, like literally questioning, I think, my life choices, going, why does my daughter want to do this? I was like,
As she's sliding down in the passenger seat so nobody can see her and just like, Dad.
right.
Like, why? She was such a promising young girl. What happened?
And then the lady who made my bikini, she would make them in like her garage, which is fine. A lot of people now, I still go to ladies that make their bikinis in the garage, but it was like down this like really crusty driveway, and it was no one made really bikinis. And then she fitted me in her kitchen. Like it was such a weird environment when I first competed. My posing was taught by my guy, who, was so incredible at the time, but I was doing bikini and I swear to you, my front pose was like a figure resting pose. And I had these like huge lats. And so I'm like this like bikini girl that's doing this. And there was just also social media wasn't a thing. So there was no community vibes. I felt so isolated and alone. And I think that was a huge driving force for me creating Australian Posing School at what it was, because we're so known for our community. And I think that that's truly something that I'm so proud of to have created, is that if you are competing, no matter whether you're a first timer or you're experienced and you're a pro, if you are wanting to make or connect with like-minded athletes, no matter where you are, just come and visit APS or the posing school, because there's just so many athletes that understand exactly what you're going through.
Yeah, and I think what you said about, like, obviously most of the people, the athletes I coach are either, females in bikini, wellness, figure, or whatever. I can't teach the transitions. For the life of me, I can't demonstrate it. I look like a rhinoceros on crack. But
I have tried to get him to show me some transitions that he's wanted me to do, but no luck.
I was like, hell no, not gonna happen. But I can teach, and I can focus on, and I can't do that. I'm a 55-year-old middle-aged white man. I have got 2 left feet, and and I embrace this. I'm okay. But I can teach
maybe we could
We don't need. We don't.
I have said that I'm keen to get some funding to get him a pair of heels.
No. I limit that to wearing the same coloured shirts, Rachel. I'm not going to wear. I'm not going to wear the heels. The shirts we can do, but that's fine. So you've obviously been working through, like, the years as APS has grown and working with different people. And I know you call yourself a stage mom, which I call myself a stage dad as well. Do you still get emotional watching your athletes walk out?
Absolutely. No matter what show, sometimes I kind of have this moment where, I've done all the yelling and the screaming and they're on stage, and I kind of tear up and think, like, wow, they're actually doing it. And usually it's because I form such incredible bonds with these women. I know pretty much every single thing about them in terms of, the hardships or the wins that they've gone through. Often there'll be an athlete that'll come to me that has had, some pretty awful things that have happened in their life, or they've had to overcome some personal battles. And when I can watch them on stage and I know that they feel so confident within themselves, that's when I get emotional, because I'm like, wow, actually being able to witness this amazing moment and memory for them that they'll probably be able to carry for the rest of their life. So yes, I still absolutely get emotional.
Oh, I get emotional. I get nervous and terrified. Like the last show, Rachel, I'm absolutely packing myself. I'm like, and then the first thing I said to her when she went and broke out on stage, I was like, "Don't make me cry," because I
see his eyes were just like getting a little bit watery.
I was like, "Damn it!" My poor little heart couldn't handle it. I always tell you, I was like, "No, can't. I'm too old for this. I've got a heart condition." Oh yeah.
He's a teddy bear.
I'm a complete. Everybody thinks I'm this big, tough, grumpy fella, but nope, complete wuss. That's all right. I'm okay with it.
No, but he's definitely a stage mom.
Yeah. I'm really good at glazing too. Wax on, wax off. Got that down, which is good. So you've competed IFBB, PNBA, obviously coaching, posing across multiple federations. As you said, it's like rather than being pigeonholed into one. What made you want to step across from that world and think, I think I'll do judging?
I know. Well, it was actually it happened very fast, essentially. It was almost, if I want something, usually in business, I believe that you should just ask. And if you kind of never know, you'll never know. What's the worst thing that will happen? Something says no. And then you go, okay, cool, at least I tried. And so I got to a point where I was in prep I just finished my last show, which was I competed at the Amateur Olympia in Vegas with IFBB, and I was backstage, and that was probably my 13th or 14th show by that stage. And I've competed in ICN, INBA, IFBB Pro League, and IFBB Elite, so I've done both of them. And I was backstage, and I was pumping up, and I had this kind of just realization that I was like, I want to be in that audience. Like, I actually want to be the one that's cheering on the clients rather than now being that one performing, which was so weird for me, because honestly, throw me in front of a camera and I'm like, I just love, I always loved performing. I didn't necessarily love the training or the dieting, but I just loved being on stage because that's what just brings me to life. And so it was almost like I needed to have that experience where I was backstage going, this is actually, it's cool. I feel really great and honored to be here, but I think my passion is somewhere else. And so that show was in December. It was quite a late show. And it was in April, straight after I was at the Perth IFBB Pro League show here in Australia, and we had created an award called the Australia's Best Bikini Poser. So back in 2022, we created that award with the league, and we've had it ever since we've just had our 20th anniversary of that posing award, which is so amazing because we've been able to, well, I truly think that it's been able to lift the standard of posing in Australia, and hopefully, others around the world. And I was at the show and I was chatting to Tony, and I basically explained to him, my revelation, at the last show and with that. And I said, could I potentially be, in the mix of, going into that route of judging? And he was like, absolutely, let's make it happen. And I'm just so grateful to him for always believing in me back then, because I feel just so absolutely privileged to be in the position that I am when I sit on that judging table and I look at the years of experience that is sitting next to me. I'm the youngest from an experience perspective by far on that table.
Yeah.
And caliber and just how dedicated all of the individual, like the other judges are, the time that they give, the care that they give as well. And it's not just they float in for a season and they'll judge a season. Like, these judges have been there for forever. And I just feel so grateful to be there.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how involved it is being a judge. I mean, having done it myself for 25 years, there's this assumption that we're either quite attractively paid for it, or all this time, and it doesn't take much time. But if you're doing 10, 15 shows a year and you throw in a couple of international shows a year, it's a big chunk of time and a big investment from those guys. And I've not met a judge in Pro League in particular who doesn't take it as, not only is it a privilege, but it's a profession where, like, my personal opinion is, if you are judging, your job is to give that athlete 100% of your attention, 100% of your focus, and to be as removed from the process as possible, but also to have a heart in it as well, and understand that these guys have put 16, 18, 20 odd weeks into just getting to there, but also that without you, they don't have a platform. And you are as important a part of that process as the stage that they're on. And you have to give them the respect that they deserve. And as you said, it's an honor. It's not a right. It's an honor. And when I retired from judging, this is coming up to 2 years now, that was tough. It's sitting in the audience going, this is weird.
It is. And that's, for a couple of years, I've been so fortunate to do the pro shows here in Australia. I often have this moment every pro show in the morning where it's, I know when someone wins their pro card, it is like the most incredible honor of their career, because the odds of them then going on and using their pro card in pro shows and then winning pro shows, it almost gets slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So I know that for most amateurs, winning that pro card is most of their goals. And the fact that, I have a small, like, not a small say, but, out of all of the judges, a percentage of that, it like gives me goosebumps when I think about just how much that athlete has given to that, to prep for that particular stage. And I've really, really loved judging men. It's taught me a lot as well. It's taught me so much about, like, I obviously don't teach posing to guys, but from just a bodybuilding sport perspective, and the other judges have learned a lot from asking questions and what the division has. And I think that that's as well, it just can really help when you understand exactly what the judges are asking for and what they're looking for. Then it can really just help athletes, no matter what federation and division they're doing. It just really helps them so that when they go on stage, they know exactly what they're looking for, because all federations look for different things. And I'm grateful, here in Australia, we have most federations, they come here for their posing workshops and they use the space. And they all look for different things, some of them more similar than others. But I do love that there are quite a few federations, especially here in Australia, because as we all know, athletes, not all athletes are going to fit into a particular mold.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as you would all know, it can benefit. There's a space and a platform and a stage for, I think, every athlete.
We say that all the time, don't we, Rachel? It's like, find the place that suits you, that you feel comfortable, that the look is something that you can achieve, or the look is something you actually like, rather than being pigeonholed in. It's like, Rachel's now the world champion and the Oceania champion in ICN. So, she got. I'm surprised she doesn't have the tiaras spaced around.
Wait. I got the money because I got two.
There you go.
So I'd be like wearing like one up here and then one a little bit lower.
I do generally sit on the microphone, but I did drop it into a bucket of bleach yesterday. But it seems to have survived. Still gold.
It's done all right. Yeah, done all right. But yeah, so.
I love it.
So
okay, I have a question actually. No.
Yes.
I have a question. Now we're gonna word this strategically. It's not your favorite federation, but what federation has your favorite posing? Not necessarily to say they're your favorite, but just your favorite style of posing.
Okay, I'm gonna actually with my true response.
Ooh.
Favorite type of posing. Like, I go in fads, so I'm a trend person, right? In my own world. So what I mean by that, at the moment, I'm in my, like, figure era, like, traditional figure era. So I'm in my, like, symmetries, I'm in my muscularities, the front double bicep. Honestly, if you probably ask me in 3 weeks' time, I'll be like, I'm in my FMG era, because I just love, like, flowing. I go through phases. I honestly think if I were to teach more structured posing, so if I was to teach just ICN quarter turns for like bikini or IFBB bikini half turns, day in and day out, I would lose my mind just because I love a day where I've got variety. At the moment, I'm in my figure era though. So because they've got 10 poses essentially from their quarter turns to their muscularity plus their resting pose. So there's actually quite a lot that we have to work with. There's transitions between the whole thing. So I love it because figure, I feel, is like on the trend rise in terms of lots of girls that are doing sports and fitness are like, you know what, actually, I'm going to give it a go. So that's my favorite at the moment. But then I've had a dancing background, so I love the creativity of FMG posing. And with FMG posing, you can pose for your physique. So it's very different to all the other federations where there's like, this is the front pose, like, good luck, sister. Like, we either change the foot, we change the hips, like, we can tailor it to you, but there is a mandatory front pose. Whereas FMG, you can have your legs apart, you can have your legs in, you can have both hands up, you can have both hands down, you can be touching your hair. So if you've had a client actually this morning, just before we did this podcast, and she's got amazing glutes, good hamstrings, good quads, the tiniest waist known to mankind, but very small shoulders. She's actually bikini, so she's not like a wellness competitor, but we need to create more size in her shoulders. And so if she were to do, say, IFBB, you would really see the fact that she's got quite small shoulders, whereas with FMG, we can pose to highlight her strengths, and I think that's what I love about that posing. Or I've got a few clients that have, I say abnormalities, but they often have like structural issues. I've had one client that wore a back brace for many, many, many years. Like, she's got screws all through her spine. She's an incredible, incredible athlete, and she did ICM when she first started, but she has almost one of her traps. It almost looks kind of like that, but you wouldn't notice because she usually has hair and she's like this, but in her back pose it kind of looks like this. She's now doing FMG, so the poses that we're doing she looks like a completely different athlete because we're able to do that. So yeah, I know that was like a really long-winded, not really answering your favorite, but at the moment it's figure for like the true traditional figure. But who knows? Honestly, if we do this again in 3 weeks, I might say bikini IFBB. Who knows? Or fit model. I also secretly like fit model. I do like fit model.
It's growing on me. Fit model's great. When it first came out, I was like, okay. But now it's growing on me. But as I said, it's like you find that's the thing about posing, right? It's like if you are restricted to, as you said, IFBB, front, back, a little bit of transition and a quarter turn. If you don't have the build, you're screwed. Whereas in FMG, WBFF, even ICN to a certain extent, you can modify the pose to hide your weaknesses. And that's what posing is supposed to be.
Yeah.
The thing about with the more traditional, like particularly men's bodybuilding, it still cracks me up. Female athletes will practice posing for years. And even if you think IFBB, they technically only got 2. But a male bodybuilder who's got 8+ quarter turns, half of them can't even do a front double bicep.
Don't get me started. Do you
And they
know?
won't spend money on coaching the miserable so-and-sos.
I have been on a mission since, like, once we became established, I was on a mission to try and help men pose. And so we've had amazing male coaches here. And it's funny because I ask all of the guy coaches here, and it's even from a judging perspective, I was like, the men need to learn posing more. They actually need to focus on
They need the
posing
help.
because we're judging them on their muscle size and like if they can get their lats out. And so half the time I get so frustrated. We get frustrated because one, their posing endurance for the most part isn't amazing. So they gas out, and then when they gas out, their abdominal control blows out. So in those transitions, they look like, and then they're going in again. And it's like, we can actually see all of that. Like, I can see
It's like, we can see that.
yeah. It's still, I think there's, because with women, we've kind of glamorized posing, so we've made it fun, we've made it more a bit showy. Not every female's like that, but it's definitely more acceptable to practice posing at the gym. Whereas for men, it's still very much, they often, no matter how big the guy is in terms of muscle size, they are very just insecure in terms of posing in front of others. And we're trying so hard, especially here, to make it a safe space. I know that sounds so strange. A safe space for men to pose where no one else can see them, so that they can build a bit of confidence, so that then when they step on stage, they can pose.
It still astounds me that, it's like you'll see some guys in judging and you're like, you have got to have seen at least a YouTube video or back in my day, a magazine, and you still can't figure out how to do a front double bicep. Okay, lat spreads, I understand. That's technical. You've got to understand how the muscle works and retraction and contraction, all that sort of stuff. But some of the basic poses, you're like, dude, what the are you thinking? But as you said, and then you get the ones who have the most beautiful free posing rounds. They come out and they've got their 60 seconds, and there's always that one song every season that everybody decides is the posing song. And you're like, here we go again. And they've got beautiful posing routines. And you're sitting there going, yeah, but your mandatories suck because you don't practice those. And guess what? We don't judge your posing routine, so what the hell was the point?
It's really hard because I find that as well, a lot of athletes, a lot of guys, they don't practice their posing backstage. And for a lot of men and for women, when you go through quite a few rounds backstage and you get that blood flowing, your physique, yes, you pump up with dumbbells and you do a whole lot of things, but when you actually pose, you get that blood flow going through your whole body. And I find that by the time men especially get to their individual routines, they've already gone through the battle of the comparison round here in Australia. Sometimes other federations as well, they do it opposite. They do the posing routine first and then comparisons. But if you do your comparison last, I often find that because they've battled it out in comparisons, their physique also looks better in their individual round. And I think it's just, it goes two ways. They should have probably spent more time prioritizing their comparisons, and also really practiced going backstage, getting all of that blood moving and warming up, because then their vascularity comes out. They're also able to really, get their lats out, to, like, switch on those muscle fibers. So I'm just still, I don't know. I think I'll just still keep banging my head against a wall until we try and keep.
Yeah. This is why I have no hair. I blame Rachel for it, but actually it's male bodybuilders. Although Rachel does say I make her work out harder backstage than she does in the gym. She complains a lot when the pump-up process. I don't train this hard. I'm like, shut up, do some more.
I was about to go on stage. I was the next person to go on stage. And he's like, keep doing squats. I was like,
I'm done. I'm tired.
I know, I was like, I still pose.
I want to go on stage and look pretty. I'm like, nope, more kickbacks. So, posing. With posing, do you tailor the posing to the personality or the physique first?
The physique always.
See,
because you're
just straight.
Well, you're judged on your physique. The judges don't care about your personality. They don't really, you don't open your mouth. It's not a pageant, so they don't really care what you sound like, So I think it will always, for me, I will always make sure that the poses that I'm teaching suits their physique. And then secondly, the question, when you have like transitions and when you have arm movements, leg movements, hair, like if you use your hair in your posing, it has to go with your personality, because you cannot be taught something with super flamboyant arms and hair flicks if that is not you. I always often say that what we want to achieve is a routine done at 100% or as close to 100%. And sometimes the most simple choreography with simple arms can be done so beautifully compared to, something that's super suits their personality with like big arms and all that kind of stuff, but their physique really goes. So it's important. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because I had my last lesson with your client Fiona yesterday, and I actually asked her a question. I said, "Why do you think this season of posing or this year of posing, you feel really at home with it and you feel really at peace with it?" And it's amazing because she said that, for the first time ever in terms of her posing, she was able to, when I gave her options of choreography, I gave her about 2 or 3 within, I say my rules of making sure her physique looked good. And she was able to pick ones that she felt so good in that just naturally went. And so that's when the posing works for your personality, but definitely physique first.
Do you think that how you've coached posing, do you think that it's changed since you've started judging? Like getting that different judge's perspective? Because I know we always say with Chris, because he brings the judging perspective.
It hasn't necessarily, it's improved it because I now know what to, where athletes should really stress and spend their time on and where need to let it go. Because sometimes some athletes, as we know, become super hyperfixated and super focused on particular things, especially sometimes they become so fixated with an individual walk because social media has made it super trendy to have this like really elaborate, incredible.
They have to have the perfect hair flick, obviously.
They need to do like spins and turns and all of this kind of stuff. And I think it's been really refreshing for me, and it's really drived home that comparisons are really everything for that most part. I knew that posing on the sidelines, like the diagonal or the back line, was important, but I actually didn't know. I just had to learn from my experience, when there's a guy on the sideline, sometimes I'm still in my head figuring out who's in my top judge, and I'm looking at the sideline. And so it's when I was, before judging, I was like, oh, it's really important, hold your pose on the sideline, la 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 la, I could say it. And then it's not until you actually are like, oh no, like it's important because I'm literally okay, I need one more. Like who else have I got? And I'm looking at their front pose. Like I'm looking at it. So it's just helped. I also think it's helped just from an industry perspective as well. It's helped me learn more about bodybuilding in every way, not just posing as well, because being there, it opens up a lot of doors to other businesses and to other just incredible people that I don't think I would have ever met as well. And I think hopefully it also inspires others that just because you might not compete anymore and you don't have to maybe work in the industry, you can still be involved in federations. I know that so many federations are looking not necessarily for a judge, but they are looking for other people to help from tabulation to
marshalling, tickets, cleaning up, all that stuff.
We forget. I think when you're either like, oh, I'm an athlete, I can compete, and then I don't want to compete again. Well, I suppose I'll just, sit in the audience. And I think if you just truly, we're all in the same industry too, because we love it. And if I want to give back to the sport that I love so much. And if that is through judging, or if, Tony said to me one day, Becc, I want you to be a, medal presenter, I'd be like, no worries, because I'm still being able to be involved and truly be able to just be a part of it.
And that's the way I look at it. Since stepping away from judging, it was like I did my time and, there was more than enough. But I always want to give back if it's helping athletes as a coach, or if it's marshalling backstage or cleaning up or tabulating, scorekeeping, anything that I can do to help, because, the promoters need all the help they can get. And if I can make that experience better for the athlete on the day, then I'm all for that. Whether they're my athletes or not, it doesn't matter. It's like, if you look like you're having a little panic attack, I'm like, all right, come here. What do we need to do? It's part of that community of the sport. And unfortunately, I think in New Zealand, it gets a little bit cliquey, but that's New Zealand in general for you.
Yeah.
I know some people will disagree with that. Yeah, and it is. It's a small town, big fish, but again, it's a sport, and you're all in the same boat. You know, you're all backstage waiting. You've all done all the work. It's like that should be the time when you're celebrating, because it's like there ain't nothing you're doing backstage. It's really going to make a huge difference unless you are complete more. But that's aside to say.
Yeah.
So, do you think? Sorry, go.
Oh no, I was
No,
going to
you go.
say the one role that I think that is super underestimated at a show is the male or female, the person that is lining up competitors. I feel like that out of, of course, the judges and the MC and everyone like that, but I just truly feel like the one person, the one job that you really will change an athlete's perspective on a show is the one that's lining everyone up, and how you speak to them. I think is really important. Of course, they're competitors, so sometimes we all know we can be a little bit delusional when we're in prep. But I think, and I even
Sure.
notice when people are backstage, the ones that are just really nice, and like those words, when you're about to walk on and they're like, you can do it, like this is the line that you're going to go to, and then
Hmm.
you go there. And for a first timer, having that person that's just so kind, I know that all of our clients, they remember that, and then they also remember the ones that were like, that lady was yelling at me, where have you been? Like,
Yeah,
you
it's so
remember it.
stressful.
We all know that one.
I once did that. So for ICN, it was almost like my first foot in backstage, essentially. And so they gave me, could you imagine giving me a clipboard and a megaphone? Right? So they gave me this clipboard and a megaphone, and I was like, this is the best day of my life. Like, I literally born for this job. And it was funny because I met a girl called Haley. She was doing the same thing as me. Haley's now an amazing judge for ICN. She travels, she's an international judge. It's amazing how she's also gone in her judging, but we both started doing that. And she goes to me, she's like, I think I'm just going to go and sit in the audience because I feel like you don't need me. Like, I feel like I'm great.
Got this.
I was like, I've got this. Like, I just loved it. And when they were like, where do I go on stage? And I was like, I just love doing that.
The athletes definitely notice the difference, because like you can even feel the vibe backstage if you've got someone who's quite stressed, because I have been backstage where we've got expediters who are stressed and they're like, oh my god, where's this person, and they're freaking out. It definitely makes the energy a lot more like anxious. Like all the competitors, they feed off that. So if the expediter is stressed, the athletes are stressed. If the expediters relax, high energy, the athletes will follow suit.
Yeah,
So definitely I agree, it's so important.
They'll do what you do. If you say you mustn't leave, like when you leave that stage, you must come straight back because you're going to do.
I have heard the boys are less good for this. Apparently,
Oh, they're useless. Useless.
apparently you'll be
Absolutely
like, no, stay there, be in your line, and they'll just be like, bye.
Yeah.
You're like, I was going to say, do you think competitors overestimate or underestimate how much posing affects the results?
They underestimate it. Always.
Posing is
Always.
important.
The number one thing, honestly, if I had a money jar, I wouldn't need to win Lotto tonight because I would already have $50 million in my jar for the amount of times that every single competitor that is first timer or that hasn't posed in a while. I had a client that she actually had a trip this morning. The last time she stepped on stage was 2020. We probably haven't posed in about 2 years maybe together. And they literally say, I just don't know how hard this is. Like, oh my God, this is just so hard. I forgot how hard it was. Or for first timers, wow, this is hard. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, it's hard. Unless you're a bendy banana and you're a professional dancer or a gymnast, posing's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
I always say, if it hurts, you're in the right spot.
Especially the front pose. Back pose, for me, is not too bad. But the front pose, oh my God. It needs to hurt or you're not doing it properly.
Yeah, it's like, and for the female athletes, it's like, they really want to get it right. And that's why we were talking before. It's like, I cannot understand why guys are so goddamn stubborn that they just don't want to show their bodies off properly. It's like, dude, if you can't stand in line and actually hit your side chest right for your physique, don't try and pose like Derek Lunsford, because Derek Lunsford's like this freaking tall.
He just does
Yeah.
this and it's cute.
And it's like, anyway, probably shouldn't slag the boys. So that's why we don't cover the boys that much in our podcast. We only talk sparkles, because boys don't have sparkles and they don't know how to pose.
So it starts at the top. So I feel like posing became fashionable and in trend because the top athletes, so the pros, were really making it a thing. So I think they were probably putting out their posing routines. They were really investing time into it. And I definitely think that if the ones that a lot of the amateur athletes look up to from a pro perspective in all federations. I feel like if they maybe really publicized their posing a little bit more, shared it online, or just made it more acceptable, I feel like then the trend would start to happen.
Sean.
But it will come. I have a good feeling it will come. It just might take a little bit longer.
We'll get there eventually.
And then,
So you mentioned before you created the Best Bikini Poser Award, right?
Australia's Best Bikini Poser Award, yes.
Why was that an important thing for you to do?
Wanted athletes, especially women, to prioritize their posing. And I wanted to be able to, it was almost like the award was created for girls. Like we chose bikini because it was, the most popular division at the time. It still is now. And the bikini girls actually worked really hard on their posing. They work even more harder now, but back then they definitely prioritized their posing. And so we wanted to create an award that shone light on posing. And that was where it was born. And I just was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could do it and judge it? And then, I choose the crowns. I wear them all because I pretend like they're mine before I have to hand them over. And, because I chose them, I got them, I'm like, oh, I want that one. And it was crazy. We used to do, so for the first couple of years, we actually did that award at every single show. So we used to do, one year we would do all of the state shows. So I traveled around to every single state. We'd do like the best New South Wales poser, Queensland, we did them all. And then we also did nationals. And then we wanted to kind of elevate the award again, because otherwise it becomes, when there's so many of it, and like it's almost like that Oprah thing where you get a car and you get a car and everyone gets a car. I wanted to, we wanted to make it quite amazing and special, and so we decided to do it at the nationals, and we sometimes do it at some mid-year special little shows just to try and, if there's no pro card, we try and make a special, something else for girls to work towards. And I like it because usually we've found a trend is that the good posers that are kind of getting awarded, they're kind of in the top region of placing. So they're not necessarily, pretty much I'll never really award it to a girl that will win, like overall, because often, oddly enough, sometimes the client, like the girl that wins overall, is not the best poser, like by a percentage. Their physique is better. We're definitely finding that girls that might not have got definitely a podium finish, so they might not have got third, they might have placed maybe seventh. It's kind of going to those girls because they might have been missing they might have the right structure, they might be missing something. They've just been when they've stepped on that stage, they've just got your attention. And that's what we look for, is like sometimes when they turn to their, back shot and you're like, damn, like they're not in condition. But then you're like, but all of their flow and their transitions and their movement.
Damn, they did that well.
Yeah, like literally what we're looking for, what I'm looking for is that when they walk on stage, I don't see any red flags. And the best, I know that sounds crazy, but as a coach, when I see a competitor, no matter who they are, like I don't actually see them, I'm just staring at their posing and their physique. And I'm literally like, nope, that's wrong. Nope, look at that shoulder. Nope, look at that midsection. Like it's kind of like this weird brain thing that I do where it's like this. And I find that when I see a best bikini poser, I'm like, she looks so nice. Oh, she's so nice. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not like going, nope.
No.
And that's when I'm like, okay, she's in the running for it. Yeah, and then it's the perfect blend of not being too slow, not being too fast, hitting your poses, nice transitions, and a good walk. I feel like that's really important. Sometimes I'll see someone, I'm like, oh, she could be good, and then she walks off stage, and I'm like, no, like, why did you not practice that? So
that's been Rachel's and I. Yeah. That's been Rachel's and I's thing this whole season in New Zealand. We were like, where the hell did these women learn to walk?
But I just want to show you this because I actually lost my absolute shit. With this. So I'm just going to show you. Okay, so this is me. Watch my rear walk. Oh my God, what is happening? I need to show you the front walk just so that you can really get the whole thing.
Oh dear. That's like Rachel when she showed me her first comp. competition. It was like a little bit on the deer.
What am I doing?
But see,
I don't know. And like the teapot arms. Anyway, it's actually funny because that was like my sixth show. And oddly enough, that was the trend at the time. But, the teapot arms, I used to teach it because that's actually like everyone would put their arms out. And then it would be like everyone was fighting. When I was at Natural Olympia, I remember I won Angels, and the girl that came second to me, she kept doing this with like a feather boa in my face. And so I would then do the same thing. Like I would then, as she would go back, I would be like, I would do this. It was just this whole it was just crazy when I think about what we did. And the judges probably were looking at me going, what the fuck is that girl doing?
yep. So, but Rachel's she showed me the video. First show was the same. It was literally like, I'm watching it going,
we're bad.
Whoa. I'm glad. Yeah, let's do this. All right, let's talk.
The terrifying thing is, of the video, I won. Like, the most terrifying.
I was second.
Yeah.
Well, but fortunately you saw the errors and decided I could probably improve on that, as opposed to, I got first place, that's all I need to worry about.
All I have to say is she want to be my client right now.
Exactly. Like, I should have gotten involved with that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the Australian posing school. How do you keep the quality consistent across all of your coaches? Because obviously you're the driving force, you're the passion, you're the standard, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you make sure that all of your coaches are delivering on what your vision is? Not just because they might be good posers, but how do you keep all of that together?
I think it's about setting realistic expectations with the coaches that work here and making sure that they feel like my doors in terms of for future education, from workshops to asking questions about clients, is always open. And that, if they're having maybe questions about a particular transition, they can come to me at any single time and ask. I think when I'm hiring, I'm very strategic about who I hire. And I say strategic because it sometimes depends on my capacity. I'm not going to necessarily bring in a first-time opposing coach if I know that I've got so many fingers in different pies and I just don't have the capacity to train them, because then it's almost like if I bring them on, it's then going to maybe lower the caliber of quality of posing that we bring out. And then I'm going to have to fix shit at the end where I just don't have the capacity. So like most of the coaches that we've got here, they've either actually learnt and been trained by me from like ground roots, or they've been an established posing coach. They've had a proven track record. And then when they come on, they have a different style to me, which is what I want. I want it when an athlete comes, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And so I want to make sure that if they want a coffee, as in something, they've got someone else to choose from a personality perspective and also a choreography perspective, because Amy, Mel, Mariana, and myself, hand on heart, we're all so different from a personality perspective, and we all teach similarly in terms of we teach the same, but we also say things differently. Like I might say stand tall, they might say stand straight. They meet the same thing. So there's that. And I think just always having my door open so that they never feel like every coach here is on their own path. It's very much like we want to, everyone feels supported. And then I think as well, the coaches that I've brought on under this umbrella, we all have our own niches and specialities. And I think that there's really only myself and Amy that kind of teach them all. Mariana just teaches FMG. Mel is very much IFBB specific. So I think it's just important that the coaches as well, they focus on their niches so that they feel like they can really dominate that niche. And then just making sure that like if I see a photo and they share a selfie on Instagram, usually if I go like, what the fuck is that? Then I'm like, and then I see that maybe it's that client's first lesson and I'm like, okay, but yeah, usually, and we talk about our clients too. So usually it's, how is that client going? You having any difficulty with it? Sometimes they'll be like, I've tried this, this, and this. Do you have any other options? And we get inspired from each other, I know, with choreography, which is really cool.
Awesome. So you talked before that you teach all federations. Mm-hmm. Was that inclusivity intentional, or did it just sort of like, oh shit, we've got everybody?
It just happened. It really happened organically. And so I used to just teach, oddly enough, I just taught ICN. Like that was my main kind of thing was ICN quarter turns. And I used to just do bikini sports and fitness. And then it grew, and I had a figure competitor message me on Instagram. This is like, 6 years ago or 7 years ago now. And she said, like, hi, I'm doing figure. Would you teach me posing? And in my head, I'm like, I don't know what hell. Like, literally in my head, I don't know how to teach this. And then luckily I had a very good mentor, and they were like, remember that you just need to be slightly smarter. You just need to be slightly smarter, and this will help you grow and learn. And so within like a week, I think I'd watched every single figure show known to man. I'd like studied figure. I'd had a look at absolutely everything. And then I said to her, I explained to her, like, you're my first figure client, but I would love to be given that opportunity. And she said, yes, let's do it. Is that your cat?
That's really funny because my cat just came over as well. If you saw me just looking off to the side there, that was also my cat. So the cats both decided to just...
Yeah, but we have a geriatric cat who is not quite aware of the volume of her voice. And when she gets lonely, she literally is saying, excuse me, where did you go? So, yeah.
Like, guys,
now she's got...
God bless her.
Yeah, now...
But yeah, it just naturally grew. And then the same thing happened when I had an FMG competitor. Well, it was WBFF back then. She was like, do you teach WBFF posing? And in my head, I'm like, do now. So then I just, and the great thing is that I just contacted federations when I would get a client and be really open with them and say like, hi, I'm Becc. I own Australian Posing School. I have a client that's come to me. I would like to know, do you have any training courses, or do you have someone that you would like me to learn from? But back then they were like, go do you, sister. Like, we don't even know like what to teach them. So it was quite, good, and you learn. And plus what I used to teach back then is very different to what I teach now because the posing industry has changed so much.
And yeah, the standard posing has evolved, like even looking at a bikini going from like, okay, what is now fit model? When you look at the original posing of bikini, and you're like, even now, and I was judging it back then, and you're just like, what the hell?
So different.
It's like, woof, it's changed.
So different. Yeah.
What's the most rewarding transformation you've seen from a student? Sorry.
Probably two that stand out, and I'll quickly touch on both of them. First one, beautiful client, Belle. Incredible story. She feel like she was in her 50s, maybe 50s. No, I don't think she was in her 50s. I think she was in her 40s when I first met her. And she had an incredible past. So she was a recovering addict. She'd actually been she'd been in rehab for 10 years, and she was 10 years clean. And she was just probably one of the most incredible women that I've still to this day ever met, because she couldn't even stand on one foot in barefoot. So she couldn't put one foot up. And it was a very big learning curve for me because I'd never had an athlete that couldn't do that. So she had a posing lesson every single week it was something ridiculous, like 10 months. So every week for 10 months, I saw her, and she just practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And she never really felt, I think, comfortable in her skin and who she was as a woman. And she has an amazing husband by her side, and she stepped on stage, and she now can probably run in heels. She can do everything. So that was probably from a transformation perspective. I will never forget that, because it definitely, from a rehab perspective, like physically as well, like just her balance, she had to learn new ways. And then I think as well, my client Maddie, who's this little firecracker who, wore a back brace for most of her primary school years, and she has like kilos of metal in her spine. She was told that she should never actually weight train, let alone go into bodybuilding. And, she defied all odds, and she ended up, I think, in getting like a silver and a third in her first show. And I think the biggest thing for Maddie was of course the physical restraint, but it was when she looked at me and she said, like, do you think I can do this? Her last lesson. And I looked at her and I said, you're ready. Like, you're ready to compete. And she got really emotional, because I think that she almost, for the first time, really, truly believed in herself to do something that she thought was almost impossible. And I think those two stories really stand out. But I will say every client has an amazing transformation for the most part. A lot of my clients, they're not, genetic goddesses that have woken up with great physiques.
The Brazilians
Brazilian.
of the world.
I think those stand out. Yeah, those two.
So you had a question there, Rich?
We should probably get into our speed round of rapid fire. And
ready.
what comes off the top of your head?
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Your 20-second answers max. I was going
What
to
is
say 4
your-
words, but
Oh, no, definitely not. What is your favorite pose of all time?
Front pose.
Which front pose?
Fuck. Okay, let's start again. Start again. Go.
What is your favorite pose of all time?
Booty pop.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
All right. what pose you wish would just die and go away?
Oh, what I'm going to say is so controversial, but I actually would really love to see a new wellness front pose. Yeah. I just would really love to
I agree.
see a new wellness front pose because I find that I have a lot of amazing wellness competitors that in that front pose, it really inhibits the mass because their legs are together and you just have to like a side of a glute and a quad. Whereas I just feel like if we had almost like a hybrid on a bikini pose, but make it wellnified, you'd be able to see hamstring, quad, glute. You'd be able to see the juxtaposition between the top and the bottom. I don't know. That's just my little thing.
That'd be cool. I
wanna
would love
know-
to see what it would look like.
I want to know who created the poses and who did they consult and who were they? Were they male?
Nobody.
Were they women? Were they wellness?
Yes.
Were they wellness competitors? Like
No.
that's what I want to know. Did they actually like
Yeah.
So
No.
They probably
No,
just
they
took it
didn't.
from the magazines or something, like
Yeah.
a magazine model.
But we learned a new word today too. We got what was it? Wellnified. That's a good one. I'm gonna put that in
Wellnified. I like
somewhere.
it.
Wellnified.
yeah.
All right, what
All right.
is your favorite bikini color? Red. Fair enough. Always.
I've worn a lot of colors personally myself, and red made me feel like
It does make you feel good, wearing red. It makes you feel
and
so
it's a
good.
good strong color. Good strong colors work on stage.
That's true. Most underrated muscle group for posing impact.
A most underrated muscle group. Probably the lats. I'd say
Yep,
they're pretty
I would
underrated.
agree.
Pretty much every single competitor doesn't know how to use them to their advantage.
No. Yeah.
All right, which division brings the most sass? Bikini, wellness, figure.
Bikini.
Bikini more than wellness.
From an amateur level, absolutely.
I'm just glad the days when bikini first started.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're off.
Some of the bikini posing, like, oh my god, we used to get ass slaps, kisses blown at us. It was just like you'd be standing there judging, going, I need a shower. This is bad.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if we were to like blur all of the different federations together from FMG to IFBB to ICN, I'd say bikini has the most amount of sass by far.
I'm sure Rachel would agree with that one. All right, what's the next one we got here? I say, go-to pump-up song before teaching a class or getting on stage.
Okay, very controversial. The Greatest Showman.
Which song?
Oh, This Is Me.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it to teach a group class, but if it's a backstage song, that was my backstage song that kind of just really made me reflect on the moment and was really proud of the package that I bought. I was almost called it like good juju that I would listen to it right before I'd go on stage because it's like they say in there, you know, something about, this is me, like warts and all essentially. And I think if you have to go in with the mindset that you're bringing your best ever package, and of course you do have flaws, but just go out there and show it. And I loved that song. And then from a group class perspective, I like a good R&B. I like a skeet to the window, to the wall, like to the sweat drop down my balls. Like I like a good just R&B. Sometimes a bit of techno, but it doesn't really get the same like.
No. Doesn't
Like
get the
the early
juices flowing.
thousands, yeah. Like Promiscuous Girl is my one. Nelly Furtado.
Beyonce, never go wrong.
Mhm.
And then,
Exactly.
for guys, AC/DC for sure.
It's not a bodybuilding contest until somebody poses to either AC/DC or Motley Crue. If those two bands don't come on, I'm out.
No, I Have the Tiger.
No, that's no. You
more like a
you
footy.
basically get it.
And the Tigers are footy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a footy one. Yeah.
Fair enough. What is the worst posing trend you have seen this year?
Emu arms. I think emu arms will go down in like my book of like the worst annoying posing trend ever. Emu arms and moving too much. And
What
I
is
mean,
emu arms?
Okay, so do you want me to show you?
I'm thinking
Yes.
just like
When you do a booty pop like this, a lot of people do this.
Got you. No.
So like you like that, like they don't realize that
Yep.
they're like pecking, like it's like so they're like
Yeah.
where it's like just like maybe just do a little shoulder, like feel free to do a little arm, but just don't go like.
all the way up.
Me.
And then I would say with moving way too much, especially in FMG, girls just really like to go crazy. So I would say they would be my pet peeves. It's like, bro, like you don't need to move so much. And no emus.
It's like the booty pop equivalent of the teapot.
Yeah.
Favorite Olympia champion of all time.
Angelica.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. We love
Angelica's
Angelica.
probably my favorite. I was over there when Maureen won for the first ever time. So when she beat Jen Dory, which was that quite controversial year when I think Jen came in too hard.
Yeah.
But I think I just don't think anyone can take away from Angelica in my books. I just loved her. Like, of course, her standard's different now, and what they look for is definitely not what Angelica is. But I think she had such an amazing energy, and I do think I actually remember listening to, I think it was a podcast with her on it, and I didn't realize this, but she was actually like the first one that did the booty pop in her front pose. So she used to walk. She was like the OG that walked on, did like the setup, and then she came up. Everyone would just go up. It was almost like her that did it. So, and she's just an incredible human. So I think she would be my favorite.
So going off that, who has your favorite stage presence of all time?
Gosh, favorite stage presence. Oh my God. Maybe her as well. Is that bad if I say her as well? Like, can I stage?
I think she had brilliant stage presence. Right. This one will get you in trouble.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
If you could coach anyone in the world, who would it be?
Posing, Ashley Cole-Walter.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes! Yeah, oh my God.
Everybody's going, yep, that's cool.
Yeah, and I met Ashley. I presented to her on Olympia stage, and I know that like she's worked so hard in her posing. It definitely has come far, but I would just love to be able to maybe just teach her some of my tricks, see if they work. I don't know. That would be fun.
No, definitely. That one is, that one's, she is the loveliest human, but her posing is not quite the level of the other Olympians around her.
Her posing, it definitely, like, to her credit, it has come so far, and she's
it definitely has.
so hard on it, because I know that it's not natural to her. It really isn't. And, I know that she's also like tried different shoes and things like that have really worked for her as well. I know that she's posing in a lower heel, I think from memory now. Which has helped her massively as well. So I just love her to, like, she's quirky. So I think she can pull off her quirky posing too. So, but I would love to just see what I could do.
Absolutely. All right, what is your like most common phrase that you say when you're doing your posing clients? So like just like one little phrase that you end up saying like 20 times within each session.
Do it again. No, that's wrong. Do it again. No, that's wrong. Do it again. No, that's wrong. Like literally you can ask, I was going to say my tagline, which is a better poser will always be the better body, but I don't say that in a lesson. I would say, or I look like, you see me, I go, and everyone, I didn't do that right. Is it? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, but I can't say that.
No.
So no, usually, honestly, what I often say is no, do that again. No, do it again. No, do it again. And how I kind of teach is we learn something, and I want a competitor to get to a level where it's about 50 to 60%, and then I'll move on. I'll never teach a competitor like a billion bit of choreography in the lesson, because they're never going to pick it up. They're going to get overwhelmed, and they're going to leave and be like, oh my God, Becc changed everything. I'd rather them do something, focus on it. So that's why I'm like, no, do it again. No. Yeah.
I mean, you see that time, even like you said with Fiona, that was one of the things she always struggled with. It was like being changed at the last minute or too much, where you give her one thing to focus on, and she's like a frickin' laser, and she will just nail it till she's got it right. So yeah. Okay, who gets the worst backstage attitudes? Bikini girls, wellness girls, or the blokes?
Probably, I want to say the silent attitude of the blokes, because they don't really talk to each other. Like,
this is true.
They just don't even mix. So maybe I'm just making it up and they have no attitude. I feel like they don't really, like, they're each to their own. Girls, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can feel the like bitchiness because they're girls, but for the most part, like, they're pretty good. Whereas, I don't know, maybe I'm going to say the guys.
They're definitely kind of like in their own little worlds. Like, the girls are more like collaborative. So if anyone's ever like lost something backstage or needs something that they have forgotten, you just yell it out, and then like 3 or 4 different girls will be like, I have that. Come over here.
I will say though, I just want to make a note. When I came over to New Zealand, I was so shocked at how nice everyone was backstage. I'm not going to say anything else, but I just want to let you know that I was like, wow, so many people are really nice. I'm just going to leave that. You can interpret it how you take it.
It's because we are the Canadians of the South Pacific.
You really are. Literally, as I like left that show, I really reflected, and I even said to Savannah, who was one of my clients that competed in that show, I was like, I need to be nicer. Like, this is just a really nice humbling experience about how much actually we're all bitches and we actually just need to be.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
I think that's about all for the rapid fire questions. Anything that you'd like to add just to wrap it up, Becc, in closing? And also, of course, how do we find you and contact you and all that sort of really cool stuff? What's that Hot Wings thing? It's like, this is your 30 seconds to tell us what's going on in the world of
Take the stage.
Becc Gwilliam.
I think it's one thing that we just didn't touch on was we have a company called, or a business called The Posing School. So we have Australian Posing School and The Posing School. They're almost like sister or brother brands. And so The Posing School is an online community which is built over, we've just got just under 1,000 competitors from around the world. There are courses for pretty much every federation, every division. If you are time poor, if you you can't find a coach that you connect with, or you just want to learn, we have that amazing kind of brand where you can learn at your own pace. And there's so much love and time and hundreds of thousands of dollars that went into making that, all of those courses. So we have that. And then, so that's theposingschool.com. We're on Instagram. And then there's also Australian Posing School. So it's australianposingschool.com.au, or you can find us on Instagram. My Instagram is Becc with 2 C's. So BECC, the poser. You can find me on Instagram. I'm also the one that runs the other Instagrams as well. So usually if you send the message, you're chatting to me. And no matter where you are located in the world, no matter what federation or division that you are competing in, I think, please know that we will have your back, and that if you want to be a part of something where you feel supported and that you want to have a crazy wild time and want me to say, no, do it again, then definitely.
I'm getting that on a t-shirt. I'm getting that done on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well,
yep, that'll work.
Like everyone wants on a t-shirt, because I often say it, it's when you walk to the back of the stage, I want you to repeat, don't wiggle, don't jiggle, don't wiggle, don't jiggle. So literally my clients want me to have like, don't wiggle, don't jiggle on my shirt.
Jiggle.
Like, yeah, I could do that. And we were on.
I feel like do it again on the front, and then on the back have your don't wiggle, don't jiggle.
Yeah.
Exactly. See?
No.
It's a whole new branding.
It's the way I go like,
no.
I go like, no.
You need like a little finger pointing.
I do like a hand. I'm like this. No. Like, I feel like this is too much. Like, no. Like,
okay, so
this is just a bit softer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But I bet you don't even need to say anything. They just look at your face and go, oh, shit, I did that wrong.
Often they just start to get really used to my like mannerisms. So when they're doing it, they're like terrified. So they're like, and I'm like, keep going. And they're like, oh, I thought you would say it's wrong.
Yeah. I was waiting for it. And I was like,
am I that much?
Oh, I did it right.
I know, exactly. Thank you to the both of you for having me on. I've loved chatting to you. You're both very good interviewers. So as a journalist, you guys did very good. I'm very proud.
Thank you very much.
Got approval from the journalist. Let's go.
You're welcome.
And I feel humbled. That's the Canadian in us. We're just very nice.
You just love that.
No, it's been really great having you on, Becc, and really love the work that you do, not just obviously through the posing school and with the lessons in international, but it is really cool actually having had the opportunity to see how you work backstage. I've been obviously familiar with the work that you've been doing with Fiona.
Yeah.
She speaks very highly of you, and obviously we got her up stage on Sunday.
Yes.
It's like 3 o'clock in the freaking morning. Thanks.
1 a.m. for me.
Yeah, so I was like, so we'll be up watching that. But really love watching what you're doing backstage with your girls. I know you were over here surprising Brooke the other day, which was awesome. She's a big sook like me for a military girl. I was like, harden up.
She's the best, and I've worked with Brooke for a while now, and we've just had this amazing relationship. She actually bought a course from the posing school. That's how I met her, because with her military background, she was finding that, as well with her personality type, she didn't want to just book in a private lesson because she felt really overwhelmed and like it was too much to just be one-on-one. And sometimes women and men, they can just feel it's like too intimate straight from the beginning. So she wanted to just learn and educate and see if she could do it just a little bit herself. And then when she felt good enough, we then just started to do private lessons, and then she ended up doing a whole year of athlete. We run an athlete program, and she did 2 athlete programs back to back, which was just wild.
Oh.
And that's why she's such a good poser, because she just slowly got better and better and better and practiced and practiced and practiced. And it was so beautiful to be able to be there for her. And that's when I was like, I'm watching her. Like, that was really cool because as an online client, you know, you're watching them on the live stream when they compete, but there's nothing truly just like, and I'm a big person for taking content because everyone else forgets. So she's competed many times before, and I'm like, Brooke, show me some photos. What did you do? Show me your videos. And she's like, I didn't take anything. And I was like, what do you mean? Where I was just like, I go. And she's like, wow, you really take a lot of photos and videos. I'm like, yes, you only win your pro card once.
We finally got a photo together for the first time ever at Oceania.
So
Only took us like 2 years.
So good.
Yeah, it's been cute.
So good.
All right, well, thank you very much. So that's a wrap for today's episode of the Macro Lounge. If you liked what you heard, make sure you hit follow on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube, because it actually makes a difference for how people can find us. And of course, make sure that you look back up on the information she's given. We'll actually tag her in the comments below. And if you want to see highlights of the things that we did screw up or we didn't put in, you can find those on the @macro_lounge podcast. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next Saturday. Have a great week, everybody. And Rachel,
Enjoy.